Hi, welcome to this demo of Spectrum Protect version 8.1.14 and its utilization of Google Cloud Coldline and Archive storage classes. By utilizing these Coldline and Archive storage classes, you can exploit object storage for both container storage pools and for long-term retention for retention sets and database backups. Back in version 8.1.11, Spectrum Protect introduced support for Google Standard or Nearline for container storage pools or for your Spectrum Protect database backup. And then in version 8.1.13, we introduced the idea of copying retention sets out to cloud. In this version, 8.1.14, we also support Google Coldline and Archive. And we support those for both container storage pools and copy retention sets. In fact, you can also use standard or nearline Google classes for these retention sets as well. In this demo, I'll be using the Operations Center to go through and define a container storage pool using these Coldline and archives. I'll also go through defining a device class that you can use for a retention set or Spectrum Protect database backup. One thing to note with Coldline and Archive, you do not have to do a stage to restore data from a retention set that has been placed out in Coldline or Archive storage on Google. Other cloud vendors require you to stage the data back from their archive or cold storage before you can actually access it, and Google does not. And I'll show you also how you can update either those container storage pools or those device classes to change the class of storage you choose. Now, when you choose a Google storage class, that's going to be specified when you set up your Spectrum Protect storage pools or device classes, so that when we actually upload the data to Google, we'll use that specified storage class to store the data in. However, you can go out and change those, and if you do make a change, any data that we upload after that change will go to the new storage class. Data that you uploaded previously will remain in the previous storage class as specified by your storage pool or device class. Now, the way that Google utilizes these storage classes has to do with how they charge you, and you can go out and read the document on it, but one of the things that Google looks at when it does its charges is how long you're keeping data stored in that class. And so for standard, that's a minimum of 0 days, Nearline 30, Coldline 90 days, and Archive 365 days. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and get started with the demo. First, we'll define a storage pool to do backups or archives to. So if you go into Storage, Storage Pools, and then click on the plus storage pool, it's going to be a general cloud storage pool. You're going to give this a name. So we're going to call this test_Google and then click next. This will be an off-premise cloud. So we'll choose that, click next. You will enter information to create the cloud connection. First, you'll choose the cloud type, which is going to be the Google Cloud Storage. Enter a name for this connection, so we'll call it test_Google_con. Then you'll enter the bucket name that you've defined out inside of Google. Then you'll paste where your key source file is stored at. You'll choose your storage class. In this case, we're going to go ahead and choose Coldline, and then click Next. Now that the connections test_Google_con has been created, you can go ahead and click Close. Now we're going to add a pre-existing local directory in order to use as an accelerator cache for these backups. So go down and then click Add Storage Pool. This cloud container storage pool has been successfully created. And if we go out once again into Storage Pools, we can search for that storage pool, and there is our test Google storage pool. If we click on Quick Looks, we can see the general information about this, including the Google storage class that we chose, which in this case was Coldline. If we close that out, if we wanted to make an update to that storage class, we could go into Details and then click on Properties. Underneath the cloud settings, you would need to unlock that and then you can choose a new Google storage class. Now remember, any data that's backed up or archived after this change will go to the new class. All the data that was backed up or archived previously will remain in that older class. So now if we go back into storage pools, you will see the updated test Google storage class inside of the quick link there. And we're now going to Google Archive instead of Google Coldline. If you wanted to do these commands via this command line, you could issue a define storage pool, test pool. Storage type would be cloud. Connection would be the Google connection that we set up, so test_Google_com. And then for the cloud storage class, you could pick the specific class. In this case, we could do archive. You can also issue updates from the command line. So for instance, you could do an update storage pool, test Google being the storage pool. And then we could, for instance, choose cloud storage class equals, and in this case, update it to Coldline. Also from the command builder, if you want to utilize Google storage to copy retention sets out to, we can create a device class by issuing a define dev class. We'll call the device class test_Google_dev class. Devtype equals cloud. Connection equals the test_Google_con. So your connection does have to pre-exist prior to doing this define dev class command. And then cloud storage class equals, and in this case we'll say Coldline. Go ahead and press enter. You can also issue update dev classes from the command line. So if, for instance, you want to change this test Google dev class to use cloud storage type equals archive, we would issue update dev class test Google_dev class cloud storage class equals archive, and then hit enter. And once again, any retention sets that you had sent out to the old storage class would remain there. And after the update was made, the new ones would go to this new storage class. Okay, in order to add a storage pool, we're going to click on Add Storage Pool. In this case, it's going to be Retention Storage Pool. We're going to give it the name test_ret_Google. We'll enter a daily start time. The device class is going to be test_Google_dev class. That's the one we just defined. Go ahead and click Next. That would create a storage pool you could use for retention sets. Another thing you can do is do a Spectrum Protect database backup. That's our metadata catalog out to this new device class. And so in order to do that, you would go to servers, select the server you want, and then click backup. You would then choose the type of database backup you want, in our case full, and the device class that you want it to go to, in our case test_Google_class, and then click backup. Okay, so in summary, I've shown you how you can now use the Google Coldline and Archive as well as Standard or Nearline for container storage pools to send your backup or archives to, retention sets where you can copy out retention sets to, or for a Spectrum Protect database backup. Be sure to check out the other videos that cover how to set up the accounts inside of Google, and also check out the videos on how to set up retention set copies. Thank you very much.